The Niominka people are an ethnic group in Senegal living on the islands of the Saloum River Delta. They are currently classified as a subgroup of the Sera population. The territory of the Niominka is called the Gandol. Most of the Niominka live in its 11 large villages, which include delta.They and Failure. They represent a little less than 1% of the population of Senegal. Being island dwellers, they participate in both agriculture and aquaculture. The primary agricultural produce is made up of rice, millet, and peanuts. As for the aquaculture, the men fish and the women gather shellfish. Although environmental problems have become an aquacultural threat, the Niominka are also beginning to look into tourism. History. The origins of the Niominka are obscure and uncertain. Although currently classified together with the Sera people, the name is drawn from Mandinka, meaning coastal people, and were known to have been ruled by a Mansa, suggesting they might have originally been either a Mandinka people that were later Seraized by migrants from the north, or conversely, a Sera people that were for some time Mandinkaized by the neighbors from the south. They were overlooked in the process of the organization of the Sine and Saloum kingdoms via the Mandinka-Gelawa dynasty in the 14th century. Theories suggest they were originally neither Sera nor Mandinka, but an altogether different people, probably related to the Jola people and speakers of Bak language that inhabited the banks of the Gambia River, until they were pushed from below by the migration of Mandinka from the south and east in the 13th century, only to hit the barrier of migrating Sera people from the north, and as a result ended up squeezed into a corner of the delta, south of the Saloum River. A supplementary theory suggests they were not a distinctive people, but rather just a disparate collection of indeterminate aboriginal riverine inhabitants and migrants, refugees and fugitives from neighboring Mandinka and Sera states that flocked to that relatively inaccessible and ungoverned delta corner, and eked out a largely independent existence. The Niominka were largely unorganized, with an egalitarian social structure quite unlike their neighbors. The nominal overlordship of the Niominka seems to have flipped back and forth between the Mandinka Mansa of Bara to the south and the Sera king of Saloum to the north. The Niominka adopted some cultural and economic elements from both, e.g., cultivation of millet from Sera, rice from Mandinka, but also possess elements quite distinctive in their own right, most notably riverine fishing. The Niominka are believed to have been the only traditionally aquacultural people on the stretch of the West African coast south of Cape Verde and north of the Bisagos. Old texts sometimes identify the Niominka as the Niomibato, as distinct from the southerly neighbors, the Niomibanta. Through much of their history, the Niomibato, the Niomibanta and the nearby Jokidu were all under the rule of the same Mandinka lord known as the Niomi Mansa. However, there were repeated attempts by the Sera king of Saloum to exert his authority over the Niominka. The Niominka controlled the stretch of coast roughly from the south bank of the Saloum River to a little above Bara Point, including the entries of the Diombos, Banjala and Jinnik rivers and the associated delta islands. The Niomi of Bara lived below them, on the northern shores of the Gambia River. Niominka pirogues may have plied the coast and rivers further south, including the Gambia, maybe as far as the Casamance River. According to historians, the Niominka were probably responsible killing the Portuguese explorer and slave trader Nuno Tristão in 1446. Tristão had ventured up the Diombos River on a long boat with his crew intending to find a native settlement to raid. when the Portuguese were trapped by Niominka canoes and massacred. The memoirs of Diogo Gomes suggest the Niominka canoes proceeded to venture out to sea, overwhelmed the remaining Portuguese in the waiting caravel, and proceeded to drag the ship upriver to dismantle it. It sank, later being found in the possession of the Niominka. The very next year, the Niominka ordered an attack on another Portuguese exploration slaving party, led by Estevão Afonso, although this was probably carried out further south nearer the Gambia shore by the Niominka. There were two more attacks on Portuguese explorers in the area within the next year, one on Álvaro Fernandes, a mass canoe attack similar to the attack on Tristão, another an attack on a landing party led by Danish Captain Vallard. The series of attacks on Portuguese explorers by the Niominka in the Saloum Gambia area prompted the Portuguese Prince Henry the Navigator to suspend all Portuguese expeditions south of Cape Verde in 1448. The Saloum Delta in particular, with its rivulets and entries plied by the canoe-borne Niominka, was deemed too dangerous for Portuguese ships to pass, when a new expedition, led by Alves Cadamosto, finally dared venture to that area again in 1455. One of his landing parties was killed by the mouth of the Saloum, and Cadamosto's own ship attacked and fended off at the mouth of the Gambia by the Niominka. Cadamosto reports the fierceness of the Niomi people rested on the belief that the Portuguese were cannibals, who came to capture black men to eat. But the very next year, when Cadamosto returned, there was a very different reception, and Cadamosto ventured peacefully up the Gambia, and even amicably met the Niominka himself. What caused this change of heart is uncertain. In his own memoirs, Portuguese Captain Diogo Gomes reports he was personally responsible for negotiating a peace treaty c. 1456 with the Niominka, and even of baptizing him as a Christian. In the early 1860s, when the peoples of the Gambia area were raised in revolt against the Mandinka aristocracy by the Tukola Marabat Marbadaya Kauba, the Niomi were not immune. The Niominka died in 1861, and an offshoot Marabout rising ensued in the coastal area, when Marbaba launched an attack on the kingdom of Saloum. Both the Mandinka-speaking Niomi of Barra and the Sera-speaking Niominka swore allegiance to the Marabouts and joined in the attack on the Seras of Saloum. Filmography: Lamabissa, a documentary film by Alexis Pfeiffius and Cecile Walter, produced by the IRD. Bibliography: G. E. Brooks, Landlords and Strangers, Ecology, Society and Trade in West Africa, 1000 to 1630 Westview, M.C. Cormier, Saloum River du Sud, SOCIE Acute Acute SA Mangroves West Africains, Volume 1. Virginia Coulon, Niominka Pirogue Ornaments, African Arts 626-31. DO 10.2307, 3,334,691. Joseph Carraro, Jacques G. Adam, Les Plantes Medicinales Toxiques Magiques des Niominka et des Soci Acute des Isles du Saloum. Acta Tropica 279-334. M.A. Klein, Islam and Imperialism in Senegal, signed Saloum, 1847-1914. F. Lafond, Legando et les Niominkas, Bulletin du Comité d'études historiques et scientifiques de 1, AOF. 21, 385-450. Hassan Nian, Les Niominka de l'offensive musulmane en 1863 et l'établissement du protectorat français en 1891. Legenden dans les maîtrises du royaume du Saloum. Dakar, Université K. Anta Diop. p. 81. A. Teixeira da Mota, a Descoberta da Guiné, Boletim Cultural da Guiné Portuguesa, Volume 1, p. 11-68, p. 273-326, p. 457-509. R. Van Kai Bonadel. Exemples de migrations multiformes integrais, les migrations de Niominka. Bulletin de la Fan. B. 39 837-889. D. Right near me. The History of a Western Mandinka State Through the 18th Century. Bloomington, Indiana University.